Well, good morning everybody, welcome back to Shutters and Speed. Today we're going to repeat a ride that I was doing a couple of weeks or so ago, which was actually ruined by the application of stone chippings to the road surface. Just about everywhere I went on this ride, the chippings were being put down and absolutely ruined it. So I sort of abandoned that video for this time, or for that time, sorry. And I've decided to do it again today. So this is what we're up to. We're having a little ride around the countryside of Norfolk again. I'm on the A1065 at the moment and we're heading towards Fakenham. We're going to take the Fakenham bypass and then we're going to go up towards Wells next to sea and then on to Hunstanton for an ice cream. So hopefully that'll be an enjoyable ride. I do have another camera view today. I've got another forward facing view which I hope will prove to be quite useful. Yeah, this road here is one of those sections that was being chipped at the time of my last ride through here, but it's all been bedded in quite nicely now it seems, and all the markings are back and everything seems pretty good. We're going to enjoy this road. This is quite a nice pleasant road. Quite twisty, can be a bit sort of troublesome for traffic, but usually it's okay, and it's a nice gentle ride out in the countryside. Yeah, so we're going to keep riding along, keeping a near side position to extend our view around this right hand bend that's coming up. Actually this surface is really quite nice, I have to say. They've done a good job. Yes, coming up here now on our left will be a turning to Castleacre, a very popular little village here in West Norfolk, where we have the priory and also a ruined castle as well, and that's of great interest to you history buffs. So a nice place to come. Traffic coming on the off side is quite busy, but we've got very little following traffic at the moment, so we're making our way quite nicely along here. I hope you're if you're a football supporter like I am, I hope you enjoyed the England game the other night. I must say I did. I mean, I'm sort of a fairly senior in years now, I guess, and I can remember all those years of hurt, all those defeats, penalties and so forth. So to put one over the old Jerry's is alright with me, and I must say I was at cock-a-hoop, and it took me a day or two to come down from that, if I'm honest. So much was the excitement that was experienced in my household. My wife was quite angry with me at times because I was shouting at the screen quite a lot, but when the second goal went in I just enjoyed the moment, and what an evening that was. I'm just hoping, of course, that England can go on and deep into the tournament. We've got the big game against Ukraine tomorrow, which obviously I'm looking forward to, and will be tuned in for that, which I hope you will be too. And let's hope that England can go really deep and even win the damn thing, which will be fantastic. Yeah, as I mentioned, we've got a different view today. It's sort of mounted underneath my headlights, and it's just giving a complete uninterrupted view forward. So I'll be very interested to see how that looks. I have, obviously, as you well know, regular viewers will know that I do experiment quite a lot with camera views. I have the standard helmet mount here, but also I've got a rear mount today on the back so we can see what's going on behind. I've got the one looking at me from my screen here, and obviously the one that's looking forward. The weather just recently has been a bit iffy, it has to be said, and I've been waiting for a decent day to come out and do this ride again, and today seems to be it. I don't think the forecast for next week is not great, so I'm going to take the opportunity and come out and have a ride while the weather is fair. I do hope you're all keeping well. The old restrictions have been delayed by another month, as we probably all know, and there is some doubt as to whether they will be completely lifted on the magic July the 19th day. But let's hope that obviously things get back to normal as quickly as possible and we can all meet up freely without any problems. I hope you've all had your jabs, that would be good. obviously that's a good thing to do, because obviously, you know, it frees everybody up to do their thing. So hopefully that's all going ahead nicely where you are. Yeah, so we're making our way. This is actually quite nice. The road is really quite nice today. Making our way nice and steadily through this Norfolk countryside. Bit of a muddy wheeler coming our way. Also on my last ride, I'll just negotiate this little troublesome section here. On my last ride, when I had all those problems with the chippings, I ended up at Walcott, which is a place I've been before, obviously, on previous videos. And I met up with 3 very nice gentlemen. And they were very, very friendly, very, very informative, and gave me a lot of advice about riding in Lincolnshire. And one of them was telling me about the Revesby Bends in Lincolnshire, which are renowned for motorcyclists. They're very challenging, very exciting to ride through on a good surface road. And when I was up there recently going about my business, I was in my car. So I thought I'd take them in my car to see what they were like. And I have to say, everything that has been said about them is absolutely true. They are fantastic bends, and needless to say, hopefully later this month, when the weather gets a bit better after the blip of unsettled weather that we're going to have next week, I'm hoping to go up there on this beast and take them and see how we get on. So the 3 guys that I met at Walcott, I didn't actually get their names, but I do know that obviously they all have the same number plate, and it's Pad. So I know them now as the 3 Pads. One of the Pads is a chap from Lincolnshire who has given me most of the advice, but they were 3 very nice guys, and I really enjoyed sitting on the seafront there at Walcott chatting away with them. And I hope that maybe I can catch up with them again at some point for another sort of meeting, as it were. So if you're watching, guys, I think you've subscribed, so if you are watching, welcome to the channel, and I hope you enjoy the ride. The other thing that I noticed when I was riding this way last, I think I was a little bit wound up, I guess, about the state of the roads and the works that was going on. Obviously these things have to be done to maintain everything, but it's always a bit of a sod when you're caught out by them yourself and you're trapped behind lorries laying chippings and so forth. And the other thing I noticed when I looked at the footage back was the fact that my mood was very low and very sort of somber. So that was another reason why I discarded that footage. I didn't feel as though I was coming across that well, so I decided to abandon that. But having said that, it's got me out again, so that's probably a good thing. Lovely little church here. Ooh. Having said all that, we come up behind what looks like some roadworks and some traffic lights. My word. Spoke too soon, obviously. Yeah, here we are at the beginning of July, and it's quite evident that the crops are now starting to change over. There was when I stopped to switch the cameras on back there was a lovely field of barley that was just turning that lovely golden colour. And to my left here you can see the oilseed rape, which is now coming into bud, as it were. All the seeds are starting to fatten in the pods and ready for harvest in probably 6 weeks or so. Yes, I would think we've passed through that little blip and we're back to swinging Norfolk Bends again, which is great. It looked to me as though they were probably doing the old broadband, putting the fibre optic cables in. We're getting a very good rate of uptake, if you like, or upgrade around here in terms of fibre broadband. I know my connection at home, I've just changed supplier and gone on to high-speed fibre, and the upload speeds on my videos to YouTube has improved immeasurably. I mean, on the old setting, it used to take probably half a day or more to upload an HD quality video to YouTube of about 20 minutes in length, but now it's going up in about 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, the difference is amazing. I mean, so much so that you know, I'm starting to think about using a bit of 4K footage at times to see how that looks. Mainly because of what was holding me back, I think, was the upload speed. So we'll give that a go at some point, but maybe not today. The other thing that might be of note, especially to you Yamaha Tracer owners, and those of you who watch from the Yamaha MT-09 Tracer Facebook group, there's an awful lot of talk on there about the seat and the seat quality and comfort. And I must admit, after a longish ride the other day, when I was out and about, I found the seat was was starting to give me the old achy bum syndrome, which I hadn't experienced on this before. So what I've done today is I have put the seat into the higher positions, and although it seems as though it is raising the seat height, I don't think actually it is. What it's doing is raising the front of the seat up. The back of the seat, where your cheeks are, remain the same. But what I was finding was that it was difficult to keep my bum cheeks on the broadest part of the seat. I seem to be just keep sliding forward all the time. So I've lifted the seat up into the higher position, which effectively just raises the front edge of the seat up a few millimeters. And at the moment, I have to say, I think it's quite a big improvement. I'm not sliding. I've braked, well, not hard, but I've slowed down reasonably quickly at times since I've made that mod, and I'm not sliding forward at all, and my bum cheeks, as it were, are staying firmly planted on the seat that I wish them to do so. So obviously that's good, and I'm hoping over during the duration of this little ride today to be noticed quite a difference. So that'll be quite of some interest as well, at the end of the ride, to see how my old, I keep mentioning them, the old bum cheeks survive, if you like. I have found this to be really comfortable in many ways. Certainly, it's not beyond the realms of possibilities to be able to ride non-stop on a tank full of fuel. So that's around 180, 200 miles. I think I could, from a knees and legs point of view, I think that could be done quite easily, as opposed to the Suzuki Bandit 650 that I owned before this, whereby I could only, towards the end of my time owning that thing, I could probably only do 60 miles or so before I had to stop and let the blood flow, so to speak. So the seat position thing was going to be quite interesting. There's a lot of talk on the forums about all sorts of mods on this machine, and seats is one of them, and I know a lot of people have spent an awful lot of money on having replacement seats made, but sometimes I think you have to try everything on that is available to you from an adjustment point of view before you perhaps go down that road. And at the moment it really is feeling quite comfy, I've got to say. So we'll see how we are. I'm tending to keep a sort of mid-lane position all the way through here because of the oncoming traffic, so I've got a good compromise between view and safety. Obviously when these right hand bends come up, you can sort of get over well to the left to extend your view, and that's still safe. The other thing, of course, you have to be very wary of through here, as I've said many times before, here in Norfolk, is wildlife. You have to be very careful that is not going to come forward, so keep your eyes and wits about you if ever you're riding out this way. I have to say, I was there's a chap I follow on YouTube called Suffolk Andy, and he'd done a video recently with his mate Rob64. They had a ride to Swaffham, and I quite enjoyed that. They came over to Swaffham, simple ride, had a ride there, had some breakfast and rode back, which is great. And but I hope Andy enjoyed his trip into Norfolk, and I also hope that he enjoyed his breakfast. He certainly sounded as though he did. He extolled the virtues of the Pedlar's Hall Cafe for some time. I have been there myself, and I fully concur with his views. The food there is fantastic, and I'm glad he enjoyed his trip to Norfolk. I sometimes come down to Suffolk from time to time. Just got to watch this lorry here. He's a bit holding the traffic up quite nicely. Yeah, I come down to Suffolk quite a lot, and I enjoy my rides around there as well. So it's always nice to see these people come over the border, even though he may well be an Ipswich Town supporter, which I suppose he's got to. Somebody's got to, haven't they? Yeah, that was a much better ride through. We're now sort of coming on to the outskirts of Fakenham here. You've got the race course off to my right here, for all you betting people out there. Quite a nice view over there towards the sort of Fakenham township, if you like. Yeah, so as we make our way along here in Fakenham, we're going to be coming up to the Fakenham bypass, as it were. We're going to be going along there for a short while, then we'll be taking a left up towards Wells next to sea. The old following traffic was a bit close, so we'll just play with our speed just to get a bit of distance. I always like to have a nice bubble between me, both in front and behind. Yeah, so we're on the Fakenham bypass, and we're now going to make our way left here to Wells. You can of course carry straight on and end up at Cromer and further around the North Norfolk coast. We're just going to take a little tootle through here. A lot of traffic waiting to come this way, it seems. So we're going to be taking another left here. The road straight on takes you into Walsingham village, which is a very popular sort of village for a lot of people in this area, but especially the old religious types. There's a shrine there, and there's a pilgrimage come here once a year, I believe. And it's actually quite a nice village to visit. It's quite touristy, very pleasant in terms of, you know, things to see and do, and it's all quite interesting, really. But we're going to be heading off this way. We're now heading towards Wells on a sort of what is a typically bumpy Norfolk B road. Looks like we've got caught behind a muddy wheeler ahead. He is looks like he might be carting silage about. It is quite noticeable as well that there are a few more caravans and motorhomes about. I think people are, you know, because we're on sort of staycation this year, as it were, with foreign travel is restricted quite heavily, and people are obviously staying at home. And I think you know, maybe these people have sort of thought that this might go on for a little while, and have invested some money in a caravan or a motorhome of some sort. And a lot of them are heading this way, it seems. Norfolk was very popular, got quite a few nice sites and so forth up along the coast that you can stop and enjoy the countryside. The one thing about these agricultural vehicles is they do rattle along at a reasonable rate. I mean, that thing is probably doing 34, 35 miles an hour. I mean, when you think back in the day, 18, 20 mile an hour was absolutely the maximum, I think. So although we moan sometimes about being caught behind them, they do still travel along at a reasonable rate. That's the funny thing about this part of Norfolk, I always feel, is that whereas cities especially are changing, you get a prodigious rate and expanding, and houses being built and so forth. In this area of Norfolk, I don't think this particular area has probably changed much in my lifetime, and doesn't look as though it's going to change anytime soon. We are actually approaching the sort of edge, if you like, I believe, of the Holcombe estate. And on the North Norfolk coast here, we've got a place called Holcombe Hall, which is well worth a visit if ever you're up here. They hold a sort of country fair, which is almost like an agricultural show most years. I don't think they're holding one this year, and that is well worth a visit because you get to have a look around the hall and so forth and enjoy a great day out. The Holcombe Hall estate also manages a lot of the beaches and so forth at Wells. That was in the control of the council for many years, but in recent years the estate has taken it back over, and it has to be said that the facilities now are much better, and everybody's enjoying, you know, the fruits of that, and it does make for a nice place to visit. That was quite funny, really, watching those cars overtake a few moments ago. I know we're only doing about 30-40 miles an hour, but when I'm riding along on these sorts of roads, I quite enjoy just tootling along. I obviously enjoy going fast as well, of course. Probably not when I've got the cameras rolling, for obvious reasons. But yeah, I think there are times when just a gentle amble through the countryside is just as pleasing as roaring around at 100 miles an hour on a racetrack, of course. But you know, it's really quite pleasant. Yes, we're now bypassing the town, the pretty seaside town of Wells. I'm not going to have a little ride down to the seafront today. I thought we'd just make our way around the Norfolk coast. But Wells and Swaffham, where Suffolk Andy was recently, were the subject of a television series starring Stephen Fry, and it was called Kingdom, and that was made about 2007, 2008, or around that sort of period of time. And both Swaffham and Wells Next to Sea were the fictional town of Market Shipra. We'll just go around this bend. Just bear with me a moment. Traffic everywhere. Okay. Yeah, so it was the fictional town of Market Shipra. With a sharp left-hander coming up down the bottom here by the looks of it. So we'll just get round that. Lovely. Yes, the market town of Shipra. And the what was the old grammar school at Swaffham was the front part of his office in Swaffham, and the rear, where he stands on the terrace looking out to sea, was filmed here in Wells Next to Sea. So if his house was in two separate towns, which is always quite funny, I think. Which is, you know, obviously quite good for the town of Norfolk. And I can remember in Swaffham particularly, there were an awful lot of tourists looking at the various scenes that could be seen in Swaffham, and they were, you know, people taking photographs in front of them and so forth. So it was obviously quite a popular series. So if you caught that, then I hope you enjoyed it, because it was, like I say, filmed here in Norfolk, and as you probably have gathered by now, I'm quite a proud Norfolk boy. So anything that promotes Norfolk and its finery is all right with me. Yeah, we're now coming through Holcombe. This is a very popular part of the North Norfolk coast. Off to my right here, you'll find a sort of a long drive. We're now approaching it. Just down there, you can get to Holcombe Beach, which is a beautiful beach, and that is where the household cavalry come once a year to have a little splash about in the water with the horses, which is quite nice for them. And you know, everybody else that seems to come here seems to enjoy it. Oh, good morning everybody. This is the day after the North Norfolk tour that I did yesterday, and I'm just getting up the next morning and having a look outside, and it's a bit miserable, but just to sort of let you know that the North Norfolk video is now going to be in two parts. I seem to enjoy myself so much yesterday that it went on for quite some time, and I seem to be babbling on quite a lot, so I thought the best thing to do to try and make it a bit more interesting is to split it into two. So this is the end of part one, and part two is coming up very shortly in another video, so look out for that if you're still on board and interested. If not, then goodbye. But I do hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and that you'll carry on and watch the second part. So on to the second part.